Before we get into the assignment, I want to cover the Sandbox 3 explanation. And Sandbox 3 is super simple, but gives you some exposure to basic math by controlling a turtle. So in this shape maker, I want you to take this code, copy and paste it into PyCharm, and I want you to play around with it a little bit to make some observations. So if I take that code, paste it into Python, and then I run that code, it will draw a square. And the way that it draws that square is it has a number of variables here. Okay, it has a length of a side, it has a number of sides, and it has an angle that it turns each time. So what it says is, we're going to start to fill the shape, and it says for x in range. We have not covered this, but it's a for loop. Don't worry about how it works. Just know that what it does is this code that is indented, it will do that code. So it'll go forward the length, and then it'll turn right at the angle, however many times I have it here. So it does these two lines 4 times. Forward, turns right, forward, turns right, forward, turns right. That's how it makes a square. So if I change the int number of the int sides to 3, and I change the angle to 120, which I recommend that you do as part of this. So I change it to 3 times 120, then it gives me a triangle, because I know that a triangle has 3 angles or 3 sides, and its angles are 120. Now, let's notice something about these numbers, which is always useful. Let's notice, what is 3 times 120? 360. What is 4 times 90? 360. So somebody tell me, what would the angle be for a 6-sided shape? If I have a shape that's 6 sides, what would the angle be that it turns each time? 60. How'd you figure that out? Right, you divided 360 by 6. So if I wanted to get rid of this as a static number, and I wanted to ask a user, input the number of sides you want the shape to have, and I wanted to figure out the angle based on the number of sides that they entered. Be thinking about that, because in a second I'm going to ask you for that formula. So I'm going to put it input, how many sides. Now obviously this has to be an int, so we're going to pray that they put an int in. And so the angle, how do we figure out the angle if they give me the number of sides? What's the formula? You just said it. Yes. So I take 360 and I divide it by inch sides. So now, if I want to, I can do a 15-sided object. I could do an even bigger one. Let's make the each side a little bit shorter. But when I run this again, how many sides do I want? Let's do 100 sides. 100 sides. Okay. Now a 100-sided polygon, did not come back. Oh, there it is. Came back around. 100-sided polygon, at some point it just starts to look like a circle, right? Because it has so many sides and so few, or the angle that it turns is so small. But calculating something like, what's the angle for, really quick, first person in this gets an automatic A in this class. Ready? 27 sides. What's the angle? You're stumped. But using this mathematical formula, I don't have to really care what the angle is, because it just figures it out for me. It just does what it's supposed to do. So now what I could do here, now notice I'm using division here. So int angle isn't really an int. It's actually a float. And if we put that there, FL angle, let's just be proper about this. But if I print that, print angle. So if I go back to the 27, that's the angle that it goes each time. Okay, so that's what we're doing. So when I went to a 100-sided figure, it was going 3.6 degrees, and the 6 is repeating. So that is essentially what I'm walking you through. I walked you through essentially what we're doing in S3. I highly recommend that you do that. And if you want an extra challenge, if you want to stretch your brain a little bit, see if you can figure out how to do a star rather than a shape, where the user specifies how many points are on the star and it figures out the angle automatically. So see, that's the extra challenge there. So that's that one.